how many artists were there? 30-something artists?
28, Philip?
It was a lot.
28.
And I had been to the shed, and I thought, how are they going to get 28 artists? It's like it's a tiny little space where they get their foot. Like, how is this going to happen? And when I walked in and saw the solution of what it was, which was, like, describe how the
Yeah, so Philip, Philip came to all the openings as well, from beginning to his opening and now. But when he came over, he was like, holy shit, I used to live here in the house. And we were like, no way, wow, this is insane. And then our neighbor Paul invited him in. They had like whatever. And Philip was like, I would love to do a show in here. And of course, Greg and I were like, absolutely, do your thing. And all of that was Philip. The whole entire idea is Philip's idea. Yeah, he was like, I want to do this thing where I involve everyone who has either lived in this space, either in the house next to the shed, on the right or on the left, and because everyone was always an artist, a musician, a visual artist, a writer, whatever. Everyone who lived in that little pocket on that little street was a maker of sorts. And Philip just figured out the best way to like highlight that and showcase that. And maybe Philip,
can you explain? Do you mind explaining?
You do it better.
How do I describe this crazy show and how cool it was and how it worked?
Well, I'm really honored that you're talking about this. But it was like, well, I used to live there, and when I lived there, it was the 90s. And y'all remember you would see like telephone poles covered with flyers everywhere. And I felt like the city was a gallery. I loved it. So when I went to the shed for the first time, I think it was the happiest day of the year. Because you can't go home again, but I got to go home again. And it was like this place that I loved, that I used to live at, was now, in the custody of these people I really like a lot. And I was really happy. And so the idea of that show was to take the flyers. So every artist had a flyer, and they all had a different color of a flyer. And they got to choose a color, and it worked out that everybody got the color they wanted. And we just stapled them to the wall. So
but then there was a key.
And yes, and then the key, and then everybody, that's what's so beautiful about the shed, is because it was like Catherine and like a whole crew, and they were just like choka, like assembling all these papers, and like, but the key was like every flyer had the color of the paper so you could match it.
Yeah.
So you could see.
It was like a little guide. So when you walk in, the walls were papered with these really bright, multicolored, it felt like a celebration in there, like Mardi Gras, so like a crazy party of all these flyers and all this cool imagery, and a lot of time, and then you'd see the same thing mirrored over here, and it was just papered all together, and that was an experience unto itself. But then you had this little booklet that was a key, that had a slip of paper, and the color matched, and so you could see who the artist was in this little key. And it was just like, this is so genius. This is how you show almost 30 artists in a tiny little shed. Like, this is how it's done. And so that show for me, like, really, really stood out a lot. And then,